Welcome back to our show. We have lots of great pieces on the show today, including a rap performance by Toronto's own Felon. But first, we have our first piece by Jermaine Ingram. He decided to do a little inquiry on the controversial topic of all black schools in Canada. Take a look.
Toronto is widely diverse, with several ethnic groups residing in the city. Although multiculturalism is a positive look, it causes ethnic groups to have programs steered towards their culture. The city of Toronto is going ahead with plans to open up a black alternative school by the fall of 2009. There has been many controversies over these issues. Educators, politicians, media, and even parents have lined up on both sides.
I think this whole thing, it does not make sense. We don't need no all black schools. For what? It's going to create problems, you know?
I don't even think it has any negative effects. I mean, there's different schools for different people, like just Jewish schools, there's private schools, there's Christians. So why can't they do it, you know? What's the difference with them?
One of the many educators that are against the future institution is Mr. Neil Blackwood. He voices his opinion on the effect of building a black school.
The country that we live in is a multicultural country where, you know, we should all live in harmony, as it were, and everybody should be our brother or sister, as it were. We should all be working together, as I say, in harmony. And presently we're having problems in this country where there's prejudice and people are discriminating against others. And this doesn't help us or help such a situation. I think it's drifting and more or less giving rise to more of this problem in the country. So I think the more we are together, the more we learn to live together in harmony.
The main purpose of the school is for teachers to have more one-on-one time by mentoring and educating their students. Some people agree this school is an opportunity.
It's just a school that focuses and has some black curriculum in it, more so than other schools. And so I think that's a good opportunity for children who don't really get to see that a lot to see that there's more black role models and like black people that actually do things with their lives.
I personally think it's a good thing. It gives them more opportunity to, because I've seen a lot of problems in schools when it came to Africans and suspensions and all of that. So I think it's a good idea.
I am not sure this will work, as it were. It might work for a few people who feel that they're dropping out, but I think each child should know his or her destiny. I'm sure, well, some people are not mature enough to handle certain situation in life. And I think that's one of the biggest problems here in this country. Our students themselves feel that they need to see a black figure or somebody, you know, who resembles them or is in their culture, teaching them to help them through. But I think it's an individual thing. A person decides whether or not they want to make it or they want to break it. But it's all on the individual.
The Toronto District School Board statistics show 40% of black students drop out of high school by grade 10. 16% of them are Caribbean.
We have dropouts because perhaps some students don't like certain teachers, not knowing that they're doing harm to themselves, and they decide not to learn. So if you decide not to learn, then you won't learn, as it were. You have to really sit there and decide that, well, this is good for me, not because of his color, or I should not feel that because of my color or race, why I'm not doing well.
Concerned mother Marcin Douglas also speaks her mind about the cause of high school dropouts.
Everybody said, I want to send my kids to this black school because they stay in school and they know more. But no, For example, I have two boys, they go to public school, and I didn't just leave them. I'm involved. I'm in the council board at school. So my involvement helps my kids to understand and be mature in their work. And if you're going to send your child to school, to a black school, of course, as a parent, you have to be there all the time, one-on-one. The teachers can't do the job because you discipline the child at home and the teacher tries to discipline the child at school. Of course, the child's not going to listen to the teacher because it's not happening in the home. It's not about black school or white school or all girls school or all boys school. Everything starts from the home.
There are so many students today who have single parents, and it's very hard for one parent to grow a child. They need two figures in their lives. Because in my past experience, I've seen where kids are not even doing their homework because they have no one to supervise them. They mainly live with their mother for most of the times, and when the mother has to work late, the child is left unsupervised at home. So they decide they want to watch TV or to be on computer for so many hours, and then so much work is not done. And this contributes to their dropping out of school, or, you know, they're not actually doing the work, so they're not progressing because they're not mature enough to handle it on their own. So it falls back on social problems too.
Even though the school will be open by the fall of 2009, the end result is still uncertain. Torontonians are still divided by this issue. The Toronto District School Board hasn't even decided where they're going to locate the school and whether it's going to be a high school or an elementary school. We'll see where this goes from here. This is Jermaine Ingram. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Jermaine, for that great insight into such a controversial subject. Our next story follows the Journal's own Timothy Nicholls as he adds another tattoo to his collection, and you'll never guess what it's of.
I had always been interested in tattoos, and when my sister offered me one, I figured it would be the perfect opportunity to get her story and see where she works.
Burning like an angel who has heaven in reprieve. Burning like the voodoo man with devils on his sleeve. Won't you dance with me?
I got into tattooing by asking for a job from Dave Breen, who is the owner of a tattoo shop in Vancouver called Sacred Heart Tattoo. Went to visit Dave for an hour twice a week for 3 months in order for him to give me a job working the counter. Working the counter entailed being the shop bitch, basically. I got to do everything but the tattoo. In that time working on the counter, I built a relationship with the tattooers that I was working with and the clientele that we had, and learned a lot about the dynamic of tattooing. The relationship I built with one man specifically, Chad Woodley, who is my mentor, he's like, okay, we'll set up my station. And I was like, okay. He's like, well, you've never asked me to do that before. He's like, well, set up my machines, you're going to tattoo yourself today. And so there you go. The first day I tattooed myself. So I spent 2 years tattooing at Sacred Heart. So, that said, I came to Toronto, which kind of from Ontario, from Toronto area, and I decided I'm just going to go to OCAD and continue tattooing at New Tribe, which is a great place to be for where I'm at in tattooing. There's tons of work and people that are inspiring to work near, and so now tattooing for me is just a part of one of the mediums that I'm trying to master, and I won't be doing that anytime soon.
Welcome back. I'm back here with Tim Nicholls. Thanks for coming out.
Oh, no problem. I was here anyway, so it's not that big a deal.
So, your tattoo, you got it in a very sensitive area, I heard?
It's down on my lower stomach where my hip bone is, so it was pretty interesting because I'm a pretty ticklish guy around there, so it was sort of like 2.5 hours of just like grinding, burning pain of like in like the really tickly spot, but yeah, and you could feel it like almost on the hip bone. It was an interesting experience to say the least.
And it was your sister that did it?
Yeah, my sister's actually the tattoo artist, so it's sort of, I feel a little bit more comfortable with her because it's my sister, not just some stranger I've met, just putting ink in me for the rest of my life.
Well, do you mind revealing it to the world?
Actually, no, I think everybody's pretty excited to see it. It's actually, it's a cat with some butterflies. I don't really know how I came up with the idea. I think I was drinking one night, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get a cat tattooed on my stomach. And my sister and I always loved cats, so here it is. It's sort of like flaky and gross right now because I got it touched up on Saturday. But yeah, it took about 2.5 hours to do, and it's probably one of my favorites just because it's so silly in sort of a good way. But yeah, I love it. I love that my sister did it for me. It's just basically one of my favorites right now, and I don't care if other people don't like it because whatever. It's okay by me.
Like, screw them.
Yeah, screw them. Like, they can hurl insults at me all they want.
You can have a cat on your stomach all you want.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, thanks, Tim, for coming out. We'll be back right after this short message.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. Now, meditation is a discipline in which the mind is focused on an object of thought or awareness. In our next story, Vanessa Samuel explains further. Check it out, and when we'll be back, we'll have Felon right here on the stage.
Bustling from one point to another, we worry about how we're perceived and future outcomes, leaving us disconnected from our inner self. Meditation is one form to an inner connection.
My meditation practice started in a yoga class, so pranayama, which is more of the yoga style of meditation, and that was fine and it worked for me. And then I guess dabbled in different types of meditation, but for me personally, I feel very constricted if I'm told to do something a particular way, so I thought it'd be interesting to do meditation in a different way, just so more people would be interested in it and realize that it doesn't necessarily have to be like this, sitting on the ground or on a cushion for an hour. And there are definitely styles in meditation that require you to stay still for an hour, but I find that once you kind of encourage people to try things out a bit, they're more open to different forms of meditation. So it's more inclusive. What I usually do is improv or improvisation, and I feel that whenever you're whenever you engage in creative activities and there's no pressure to do it this way or that way, I find it's more freeing and I find it more meditative. So I basically took everything that I liked, which is writing poetry or doing visual arts and definitely music, and just put it all in one area. Yeah. Well, it ties into confidence, and it ties a lot into balance. So, in a way, informally, getting them to see that they need to maintain a balance, and that's not only important for their emotional health, but just the way they study or your ability to learn and wellness, things like that. I don't expect people to feel that they can, completely learn how to meditate in one session. It's a practice like anything, and it requires discipline. So the one thing I would like people to take away from the workshops and courses is just to learn at least one thing about mindfulness and how they can incorporate mindfulness into their lives. So just one thing, and I think that makes a huge difference. Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, we're back here with Felon. How's it going?
What's up?
Thanks for coming out, by the way.
Thanks for having me.
So for those who don't know very much about yourself, do you mind saying a few words?
Well, yeah, I'm the front man of the Nomads. It's THANOMADZ. It's a 5-man team or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Felon is an acronym.
Yeah.
What does that stand for again?
That's Freedom's Energy Limits None. So it basically means that everything you do in your life, you got to take it in stride. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be the best that you could be. You got to be mighty healthy.
It's like life is a growing experience.
Definitely. It's a growing experience. You go through life learning your lessons or whatever, but the most important one to know is that you're the one that's in charge of your own
destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had kind of a bit of a rough growing up, would you say?
Yeah, I guess so,
Did you channel any of that into your music?
Always, of course, always. Like, that's where the street philosophy comes from, That's where the love from the music comes from.
And you're here with Cajun?
Yeah, I'm here with Big Cage. He's in the back right now. It's one of my ALX. It's one of the Nomads. You know what I mean? So we're going to get on and do our thing.
Mm-hmm. So do you guys have any shows coming up together?
We got a show tomorrow.
With the Nomads?
Wait, no. We got a show Saturday night at Suba Lounge at College in Spadina, College West in Spadina.
And where can people check you out? On MySpace?
Yeah, you can hit me up on MySpace, myspace.com/thatdudefelon. It's DATDUDEFELN.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll be back with Felon's performance right after Sarah Zira's piece on girls hockey.
Hockey can be a rough sport, but you wouldn't expect small girls to play the same way. Even though physical contact is not allowed, the girls still find ways to make the game aggressive. Having played on both girls and guys hockey teams, 19-year-old Catherine Doyle retells her experiences.
People usually don't see me as an aggressive person. When I tell them I play hockey, I always get this really weird reaction. They go, "Oh, what? You don't find it rough or something?" And I think it can be kind of awkward at times. People have these certain expectations. You don't feel like you have to fit into a social role like you have to do in society. People think that girls should be timid and that they should be nice, but basically when you get on the ice, all those basically melt away. It's more of a male-dominated role, so people are a little more free to do what they want to do. There's so many stereotypes basically, around the whole girls should be this, girls should be that, and I think that, when it comes down to it, you're on the ice, it just doesn't matter anymore. So when you get in the dressing room, these girls, they're nice, they're sweet, they even say hi to you off the ice. But as soon as you get out of that dressing room and you're on the ice, it's a completely different feel. They turn into monsters.
And when they get out there with their equipment on, they look a little different again, eh? And sometimes those can be your more aggressive players because they feel that they need to bring a little bit more because they are small.
There's actually a lot of difference between the girls and the guys in the level of play. I find that the guys are a lot more intense and they play with a lot more heart, while the girls are more in it just for the fun. I also think in saying that you have to bring into consideration the fact that the girls can be a lot more aggressive and more rough, especially with the stick work. The stick work being like hooking, grabbing, slashing, all the stuff that you're really not supposed to do, and it's probably made up with the fact that they don't have to put it. So basically last year's championship, Toronto versus Mississauga, we were all excited, there's a lot at stake. The referees were pretty worked up about it because they knew it was going to be an aggressive game. So halfway into the game, everything is going good. There were a lot of penalties being called just because everyone was a lot more rougher than they probably should have been. And all of a sudden someone comes in and it completely plows my goalie over. We were all really worked up about that, and people were jumping off the bench because the referees weren't doing anything. It was just one big mess up. Basically half the team was suspended, and it was just a huge ordeal. And everyone was kind of appalled by the fact that, girls could be this aggressive and rough, and it was not expected. Basically playing in the leagues for so long, you get to know people, and they might be your friends off the ice, but when you get on the ice, they're no longer your friends, they're your opponent. You better be tough or you'll be left in the dust.
As you can see, it's not the size of the player that counts, it's the amount of damage that they can do.
Good
You
enough.
lost your 60 words.
Hey guys, we're back with Felon and Cajun ready to perform. So here they are performing their hit, The Difference.
What up? What if you woke up one day and recognized that you were genuinely different from other people, man?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
different though, man. I mean, different.
Not on this level, yeah? Not on this level?
Exactly.
Please, scream at it.
Rapping those pathetic tips for money that you better get. Irrelevant references represent where you was never real. That's this way we'll never get. Forever stick to clever shit. The game is dry and that is why I read it with my rhetoric. This never is ever, so forever they'll remember it. From further to header, every letter is tremendous, kid. I phrase it in that fashion cause I'm coming from the bottom. Concentration on the track until the top is how I plot it. And it's not how I wanna be. This is how I gotta be. My disorder is normative cause this is how I ought to be. The passion that I'm rapping is just squeezing in my arteries. Ingenious with my reason, so you're leaving with a part of me. They don't rap as hard as me, cause they're not half as smart as me. It's academic artistry, I don't suggest I'm sorry. Loyalty, camaraderie, discipline and honesty. I keep it real, cause me's the only man I've got the heart to be. Perfect speech with a style beyond decent. Realize it's these with cats like us. No fuss, no muss, no constant crush. I shift and ship funk on the cusp of construct. Thought my style's a residue of dues paid. The cool homie Lupe, I'm Lupe for Lupe. The truth said, thou shalt not test the recipe. I'm still upon the precipice for peace of time. So my grind shift to knowledge on my mental power harbor. Can stand along the harbor of my mind's design. Sublime words curse, I fill my palms with dirt. The destitute man's curse, I'm beyond my lines. Shifted, pessimistic, walking on the distance lifestyle defined with prisoners. Calm and fly, third eye passion, left at blind man's captions. I have time captured, I am past my shine. I command the loose fruitless fruit loops, beats on fruit loops, my blue fruits into my passion prime. I am last lap line, trapped on earth till I die. The lock you can't pry, my like blasted minds, brother. No man. No man. No man.
I told y'all.
No man.
Good job, guys. This was really great.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming out. So right now we have Oleh's piece, which he did on a motorcycle show that was recently here in Toronto.
Here to the Toronto International Center where the motorcycle show is on. Hundreds and hundreds of motorcycles, new, old, retro, rebuilt, and modified will be displayed. I hope you like it.
Toronto Motorcycle Show started about 20 years ago, and it's been in this building for a long time. There's also another big super show in January, which also takes place in the same building, Toronto International Center. The kind of motorcycles that people see at this show are varied. They can shop for new bikes in the dealer's displays, or just enjoy vintage bikes and custom-made motorcycles. As I mentioned before, here you can find motorcycles of every type, shape, and form.
I
I'm Bar Hodgson, and I'm the show producer of this show, the Spring Motorcycle Show. And my wife Haiti and I, in 1998, formed the Canadian Motorcycle Heritage Museum Foundation. And that's what this display is. What we're looking at here is a 1940 Indian four-cylinder. These bikes are amazing motorcycles. They're very much like a car engine here. Lots of power just for rolling down the highway back in the 1940s. This technology is really from the 30s and 20s. And they're really the last of the four cylinders, so they didn't make them after this. This was the end of them. What we have here is a 1953 Vincent Rapide. The Vincent is a legendary motorcycle. It was the fastest motorcycle in the world. Back in 1949, it set the land speed record at 150 miles an hour.
From the history to the future. Among all these interesting displays that were on the show, one unique and genius invention really caught my eye. It's a one-wheel electric motorcycle created by 18-year-old Benjamin Bullock.
There's no controls on the whole bike. The only sort of master switch on it is the big on-off switch right here. Once it's on, it's balancing. As soon as the rider sits on it, it's trying to orient itself and keep itself sort of centered at this point. If the rider leans forward, it accelerates forward. If the rider leans back, it will slow down and eventually go in reverse. The steering is, again, all controlled by leaning. Each wheel has independent suspension. As you lean to one side, the inner wheel comes up into the frame and the whole bike tilts. Then a sensor picks up how far it's leaning and speeds up the outer wheel accordingly. So if you lean a lot, it's going to do a really tight corner. If you lean a little bit, it'll only speed up a little bit and do a much wider turn.
Well, that's all time I've got for today, folks. Don't forget to check out Super Show's website to find out more about future events. For Centennial College, I'm Oleh Buncha.
Thanks, Oleh, for that excellent story. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message. We still have lots of great stuff for you to come on the show, including another performance by Felon. But first, we have Rob McCleary's piece on great independent movie theaters here in Toronto. Take a look.
Few in Toronto where you can go to see foreign and independent films due to the takeover of places like AMC and Cineplex Odeon. But there are still a few theaters that host screens of lesser known films that are critically acclaimed. These are the Bloor Cinema and Innisfil Cinema. The Bloor Cinema is an independent theater in the Annex District of downtown Toronto, Canada, located at 506 Bloor Street West near the Bathurst subway station and Honest Ed. Located at the intersection of St. George and Bloor in the heart of downtown at the University of Toronto is the Innisfil College Cinema. Holding only 150 people, it shows the best of foreign films ranging from Russian to French to Japanese.
We act as an academic union for students at U of T, but we're also a film society, and basically our goal is to go out there and show free movies on 35mm the way they were meant to be seen. It's a big belief at our union that it doesn't matter if this is a film that gets shown on TV all the time. The reason we're going to show it is because it's going to be on 35, it's going to be uncut. but it's free. It's on 35, and 35 is key. We never show a film that isn't in a screen in the medium it was shot in. We run a student film festival where we collect shorts from students at U of T and screen them.
Welcome back. Felon's in the back getting ready to perform, but first, this quick break. What camera? We're already up. Well, that concludes our show for today. I had a great time hosting for you. We have Felon one more time for us, here to perform. You ready to take it away?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, cool.
That's the journal. This one's called From the Heart. It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? Yes. Listen, I look into tomorrow with a tear in my eye. Pockets full of it, but a heart full of pride. Commission myself to a mission of being wise. Selfish, I guess I had myself on my mind. You were something that I long for, so I guess I had to chase. Future before my face, trapped within a glass case, so I have to pursue. Learn by making moves, targeting full view, so I gotta show improved situation. This love got my heart racing. The attraction is pacing how I feel when conversating. Amazing. I never felt this fiction for any force. Of course, you were the source of my charted life course. You made me rock back and forth, moving to life's rhythm. Fearing that fears, couldn't imagine life with them. With you, I broke my mental prison, switched my mental position, helped me vet the system. It was clear I was living for bars and hooks, pen scarred my books. Turn my stab back on the lifestyle of a crook. In short, you had me shook, but really you made me stronger. I don't know what more to say, so I can state that I want you. But it's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? Yes. It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? I swore to myself that nothing's stopping me, never to equate to this plain mediocrity. To grasp my passions, I'd apply my philosophy as a piece, cause in this gamble, the coin tosses me. Along those lines, sometimes felt life was robbing me, and darkness was a constant, always constantly. And life and love, they was across from me, adjacent. With past failures, were those who's hiding me. Ironically, I set aside my former lack of pride. Ambitions at a king size took root and multiplied. A child wide-eyed to a man with eyes open. Wrapped myself in apathy, casually kept coasting. A faith of importance, so my potency switched. And belief in myself, that was important to stitch. You helped me with this, you had my strength sewn. From my first bit on a post into owning my microphone. With you, I never be alone. Through life's tests, each letter I write for you will help me with life's stress. Those who come before me, I'm assuming they're likeness, so that those who come after can live through this life blessed. It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? Yes. It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? It's from the heart, right? Yes. Nomads all day. And that's what we bring to the table. We get a shout out to my man all day out in Calgary. We get a shout out to my girl DJ L, all the fans and supporters. Get a shout out to Big Cage. Big shout out to Hades.